Hey everyone, it's Steve. This podcast is for visitors who want to feel like locals and locals who want to feel like regulars, all before they ever step into any place in greater Milwaukee. My co-host Adam and I have been exploring Milwaukee our entire lives, and we've put together over 200 episodes about our incredible city. This episode features Kristin Brey from Asgos, Wisconsin, which creates fun, innovative, and uncomplicated ways to talk about state and local politics while still celebrating all things Wisconsin. To be clear, this is not a show about politics. It's an honest conversation about what we like and dislike about a number of things, including Kristin's hair color, squirting weather, Adam's birthday, hitting the dump button, how Adam and I don't watch the news, and so much more. Along the way, we find out a lot about Kristin and what she's up to these days, including a special surprise you got to listen for. Experience Milwaukee has its home studio in the Transfer Pizzeria Cafe, and our official beer partner is New Barons Brewing Cooperative. And if you haven't heard, check out our new project at textmke.com, Milwaukee's only daily text on what's happening in and around the city. Thanks for listening. Love you, Milwaukee. Hello, Milwaukee! Hey, Adam.
Hey, Steve.
Milwaukee is fun-loving,
up and coming,
a rising star.
And now, let's get into the episode.
Yeah.
I have a question right out of the gate.
Well, we got to do our intro, too.
We can do the intro at the end.
All right. No.
How many times since you've started this radio show have you had to hit the dump button?
None.
What?
Well,
shut your mouth.
For me, I have wanted to.
Someone else has, yeah.
I've had a
sure.
dream.
No,
I had a dream recently, actually, that I F-bombed on air, and my producer / now my best friend, Jane Matnair, was
Shout out.
so mad at me in the dream. But in the actual show, and the truth is the dump button's not very close to her, so she actually didn't hit it. I think we've said shit. My brother, because my brother's big in finance, so I've had him on a couple times to explain stuff that's happening in the market and blah, blah, blah.
Lovely.
He
That's
said
awesome.
shit on air, and I think one of the we had a comedian on once who cursed, and we just kind of rolled with it. Because you know that how the FCC works is someone has to report you.
Right.
So it's not like the ears are always listening. It's not Big Brother.
Exactly.
I
Someone
think
has to hear it and go, that's not
I
okay.
think that's how it works if you flip off a cop. If you
Where
if
did
you
that
flip off a police officer and no one says anything, I don't think they can do anything.
Even
Someone's got to go,
if the cop
oh my
sees
gosh,
it,
they just flipped off that police officer. Then they can give you a ticket.
So if the
Well,
officer
what if the
watches you flip
I
someone
don't
off,
think they can. You'd be like,
because it would just be like,
I don't
he
know
said,
if
she
that's
said?
true, but I think
boy, you
Should we
just
test it?
that is.
you just set off a bunch. I have
Should we test
a
it?
police officer. Of
I'm
a friend
afraid to test
who
it, but
just-
you could
who
ask
just left
Adam.
me
You
the
ask.
loveliest voicemail,
Oh, boy.
so I'll ask him.
Will you
I'll ask
report?
him and let him.
You report back.
I will report back
at
on
the end
that.
of this
Okay.
show. But I think that is the case. So unless someone complains,
Is it
sorry.
illegal to flick off a police officer, but not other
you know
people?
what? I would have to imagine a lot's going on in your life to flip off a police officer.
They're probably
That's
like-
probably leading you up to a point where you're disorderly at that point. You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine you're just walking down the street and you're like, oh look, a police officer, bam, hit him with a flip, hit him with a bird, and then
Someone
they go,
might.
you're arrested.
It's funny how that became something that was cathartic. Because
Yeah,
that's the
why
whole
is
thing.
that?
It's the whole thing with swearing. Like there's actual linguists who will argue
Oh,
the way that if
hell
you think
yeah.
about the hard consonants of most curse words,
Yeah.
it is cathartic to say. It feels good to say some of those words.
like an energy
but it's
release.
funny because flipping the bird is does this give you the same
Does this
satisfaction?
feel good to you?
only, and I saw my friend do this to his now ex-wife.
Okay.
Hey, good
Only,
setup.
all right, and was on New Year's motherfucking Eve. And this is the only way that it works in flipping off is if you also go like that.
Oh,
yeah.
So there needs to be a guttural sound.
Yes.
So the linguistics holds up then.
Yes.
It totally
Then it
holds
works.
up.
Then it
Then it
works.
works.
Yeah. And what happened was he did that, and then she was facing me on the stairway. so
you got to see the
I got
facial
to see
expression?
her facial expression, and he turns around and then he's like smiles at me.
Wow.
I walked away.
Yeah, I'd be out of that
I'm
conversation.
like, I'm done with this
lickety
thing.
split.
Anyway, hey Adam.
Oh, hey, Steve.
Hey, Kristin.
Hi.
Hey, what? Great first question to start the show.
I thought so.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, it's trying to be summer.
It's trying. I walked out of a building today. It was beautiful in the morning. And then I walk out of the building and it was like not.
Yeah. Kristin, I
sunny, but
have
chilly.
to imagine you're sick of talking about this, but this whole pneumonia front thing.
I actually didn't talk about it on the show today.
No?
We avoided it.
I couldn't. Good.
It's a weird name for
Because
weather.
it is a really weird
Pneumonia
name.
front?
Pneumonia front. So
That's
it
what
was
happened yesterday.
This is what the front did because I came here and it was
80. Yeah.
And I walked out and
It was
and
50.
it was
55
degrees outside. And I was like,
So wait, was it both yesterday and today that happened? Where it was
I
like
think
all of a
it's-
sudden it was
I
warm?
I don't think it was quite 80
continuation.
this morning, but it was nice. It was
was-
on its way, like you're feeling good, you know,
And
like
then it
it's going to be a beautiful day.
Well, we got like
59.
Super Nino coming again.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be like a everywhere. I mean, I don't know how hot it will be here, but supposedly it's going to be
Squelching.
scorching.
Squelching.
Squelching. I think scorching.
Squelching.
Squelching feels more like when you're like
Squelching.
squelching your thirst.
squirting hot.
Squelching feels like a weirder word that I don't want to use again.
Please stop saying it.
Where's the dump button?
Any
Where's the dump
SQ
button?
words, please don't say any of them. Anyway, all right, so it's going to be warm. When is this happening?
The pneumonia front?
No, the squelcher, squirter.
No,
Oh, I think this summer. Like I
Nino.
think just in general,
Oh,
it has
all
happened.
right, this summer.
Wisconsin
Got it.
may fare fine because we're north, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be in Texas this summer.
I don't want to be anywhere south this summer.
Why?
No, it's going to be hot as shit. It's because
Yeah,
it's going to be really hot.
Oh, all right. Like Vegas, I'll go there.
I don't. Okay. You know
Are
what?
you just
I have a
an
good
I will
idea.
always
You
go to
go
Vegas
there.
guy?
Any fucking day, I'll
Any
go to Vegas.
excuse.
Yeah.
I've never been, so it's
Oh.
pretty polarizing to sit next
Do
to the
you-
guy who always goes.
Do you want to take
the
him
guy who's
so
never
badly
been.
and give him his first
I
experience?
said we've got if a couple things happen over the next couple weeks, we're gonna go, and it would be even better if because our photographer guy Eric Halverson has never been to Vegas.
Why do I know that name?
Burt Lauderdale. He does
Whether
Burt
you
Alerts.
like it or not,
Yeah, whether you like it or not. That's
So,
our guy.
He's
Okay.
never been
That's
either.
our guy.
And he's a huge hockey fan. And I said if the Vegas Knights are still in the playoffs, that would be even better if we could go and all see a
There
playoff
you go.
game.
There you go.
Yeah.
I would love to see a playoff game. I'm not a big hockey fan, but
It'd be awesome.
going with these two
Yeah,
guys
it'd be awesome.
would probably be a
In
real
Vegas?
treat.
Yeah.
And in Vegas, win.
Yeah. Triple win.
Yep, all wins.
Even if it's squelching or squirting.
Okay, Kristin, are you
It's
ready?
devolved.
Are you ready for my second random question? I like that we're just getting into this. We're not like, Kristin, give us your background, all this stuff. I would like to know
Why did you
how
dance?
many because it was a fun sing-songy question. How many different colors have you dyed your hair, and what was your favorite?
What?
I was a blonde child, and then as I hit puberty, my hair started to darken. So then I started
Whoa,
highlighting.
really? So it just straight up.
Yeah, like between
that's
like
what happened to
eighth
Fletcher.
grade. Yeah, all of a sudden my hair just
Wow.
was darker. So then my mom was like, "We're gonna get you that highlighted." Then I moved to LA to be an actress, and I got very blonde, like
Okay.
very blonde. And then when I quit acting, I dyed it brown. Then I went back to blonde. Then I went through a breakup and dyed it red.
Nice.
And the red was polarizing. Some people
How
really
red?
like
burgundy red, or was it like a pinky?
burgundy.
Or was it bright? Blood?
Ariel red, not Ariel like orange red, but like burgundy.
Okay.
Red.
It
And
sounds cool.
I liked it. It was a fun phase. It was hard to get out. It was fun. It was easier to do than to undo.
I'm sure.
And then I was blonde again, and then finally around 30, I was like, I don't think this is after I had quit tech and didn't have a 6-figure salary anymore. So I was like, I can't afford to highlight my hair in New York City every
It's not
6 weeks
cheap.
anymore. So I'm
Yeah,
just going to
right.
do my natural hair
I
color.
think we'll just go
It
natural
is not
from here
cheap.
on
And
out.
so yeah, so this is my natural hair color, and it's been this way for 6 years.
Is
Nice.
this your favorite? Having your natural hair color.
I like it.
Okay.
There's moments where I'm like, the blonde was fun. The blonde was fun. The red was fun too. They're all
I'm still fascinated by the fact that it got to 8th grade before it went dark. Because, I mean...
Yeah, usually it happens a little sooner,
My
right?
little brother had pretty blonde hair when he was growing up, but, I mean, 3 or 4, he
Yes.
got one haircut, and all of a sudden all his blonde hair was gone.
Yeah.
And
no, mine was because
but
mine
8th
was definitely
grade.
into like middle school. It was like a
Wow.
sandy blonde. It wasn't
But
like I was like
still,
a towhead
you
for
are
that whole time. But
straight up
But yeah.
brunette right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's crazy.
Like dark hair. Like it's
Yeah.
not even like a mousy light brown.
No,
it's, like, I
it's
have dark brown
yeah.
hair.
That's wild. There you go. Random question
There you
number
go.
2.
Random question number 2. Cool. So, what are you up to today? What are you doing today? What's your world look like? It's fascinating to watch as a fan, and to have
Or listen to, I guess. Radio show.
I watch on the socials too, and become a friend, and and just to get to know you a little bit, and like, so what are you up to today?
So most days, Monday through Friday, I am on the radio. And right now, depending on when you're listening to this, up until June 1st, I'm on 11 to 2. And locally, you can hear it on 540 AM, 101 FM, WAUK. You can also get it on, I'm going to plug it now because I might as well.
Do it.
The Civic Media app, which you can download, and you can stream it and take it wherever you go. But then that's changing. June 1st, it's going to be 10 to 12. So
okay.
So 1 hour less, a little bit earlier. I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
And then on the days where I have the energy and the creative bandwidth, I'm still making my own videos for TikTok and Instagram under the As Goes Wisconsin labels. Mm-hmm. And then once a week, I'm over at Journal Sentinel making videos for them. And that's
Just
it.
on the grind.
And then
That's
every
a
once
lot
in a
of
while, I
stuff.
MC stuff. That's fun. I was just in Appleton for the Ozaki Democratic Party. This weekend, I'm doing MCs for
Nice.
W Girls and Milwaukee Diaper Mission. And so,
What's
yeah.
the Milwaukee Diaper Mission?
You haven't heard of this?
I have
so
not.
Mariah, Giannis's partner, Giannis and Mariah are big supporters of this organization. It's an organization that helps get like diapers, tampons, like supplies to underserved
Mothers
women
in need.
and families
People who need them,
in
right?
Milwaukee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
and so and they
awesome.
also have a big clinic on. You guys don't have young ones with like diapers anymore, but they do.
Thank God.
A lot of tutorials on cloth diapering.
Oh,
because
sure.
it's better for the environment. It's also cheaper. And so, but Megan Johnson, shout out to her. She is one of the co-founders, and she's awesome. And so, so they're doing the W Girls Gala this year as a
Very
fundraiser for
cool.
them.
Nice.
And also, out of nowhere fact I just learned today. Did you know Appleton is the drunkest city in Wisconsin?
That
I did
thought
not know
that was really
I did not
surprising.
know that.
measured by what?
Yeah.
I have no idea. They were doing a top
Interesting.
5 list.
Some index.
And Appleton, it was Appleton, Green Bay. Oh, crap. And 3 others that I can't
They're all in
recall at the
Wisconsin.
time. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
specific to Wisconsin.
I'm pretty sure the 10 drunkest cities, or like out of the top 20 drunkest cities, like 10 are in Wisconsin or something. There's always some fact
believe
like
it.
that.
It's some crazy thing like that. Yeah, and I heard of a bar in Mexico that during...
this urban legend?
This is definitely an urban legend, yes. It was, and I'm sure people would just be like, "Oh, Senior Frogs," because everybody knows that one. But there was a legend that this Wisconsin person went down to do a drinking contest at one of the bars on spring break, and he announced that he was from Wisconsin, and they escorted him off the stage and said, "You
No.
can't participate.
You're a
because-
professional."
because you're gonna
Amateurs
kill
only.
someone up here because you're too good at drinking." And I was like, "That's a really cool thing for you to boast about," but I
New life
guarantee you
goal.
it's not true. There's just no way.
It's a new life goal.
There's no way we're that popular about being drunk,
What do you think?
even though we're in the 10 top.
I do think there's a different level here. Like
yeah.
when I first, and I've always drank, and I've always had friends who drank. Like even when I was in California, I wasn't with a bunch of like, oh, we don't really like it. We have an alternative lifestyle. Like I've always been with friends who party and
Yeah.
stuff. And I will say when I first moved to Milwaukee, and granted, I had been living with my parents in Wisconsin Rapids
Sure.
for most of 2020, decided, all right, I'm staying in Wisconsin, I'm moving to Milwaukee, and I met my now husband, who is also likes to drink and is in
Yeah.
the bar scene and is friends with a lot of bar owners and stuff.
Right.
And the first couple times we went out, I was trying to keep up with him. Oh God, I was blacked out.
Yeah.
It was just like trying to keep up with him because everywhere we went, someone would buy him a shot, and like the shots and the
Shots
bombs
are tough.
fast.
Yeah.
are really the Milwaukee
That's
thing.
what
That's
gets
like,
ya.
oh, this
So
is another
fast.
level than like what I was doing ever before.
And then on top of that, you're doing bar
And it's cheap.
dice,
And it's so cheap.
inexpensive.
Yes.
It's 100%.
And I love that I can go to half a dozen places and I know everyone in the place, but it's it's also dangerous. It's like, dude, it's
dangerous
it's
as
2
in
o'clock.
What, Monday night?
Go home.
2 nights ago?
I got to ride home.
Yeah, were you to get a ride home? Yeah, exactly. It just kind of gets away from you.
Yes.
But it's also weird too, thinking about how, and this might be a little dicey. It's proud we are of that. Too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting up there in age now. It being my birthday right now.
Yeah,
I
it's his
think,
birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday,
birthday.
Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think a lot about it, and I think, God, maybe drinking's not all that great. maybe because in the last few years, COVID especially, I got real focused on hydrating, and hot damn, do I feel good when I drink water.
Yeah.
And then you go for a long time without drinking, and then you have a couple of drinks and you get a little shit faced. And then you go home and you wake up the next morning and you're like, well, that wasn't worth it.
Well,
this
also,
is awful.
because you guys have little ones.
Yeah, well, there's also that too.
And I, not to
You
bury
gotta
the
be-
lead, but I
you
am
gotta-
going to have a little
You're
one
going to
in
have a little one.
October.
Woo! News breaking on the podcast.
But all of my friends with kids are like, who are much more into like gummies now, because they're like,
Totally.
that's something like you can do at night and unwind, but like having even a couple drinks
still-
and still having to wake up at 6 with that kid is not fun.
No,
It's not fun.
It is
It's not fun
And
at
6
all.
is like gracious. That's a good time.
Oh, and
That's
see, again, I'm a weirdo.
Like, oh, they
My
slept
son
in.
wakes up after me. He's
Really?
usually up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Oh.
Wow.
No.
He set his alarm
Fletcher-
for 7:30. Well, he's going to have a rude awakening when school starts.
Fletcher rolled in at 5:25 today.
No way.
He's like, "What's up, everybody? Let's go."
You haven't gotten one of those like stop and go
No,
lights?
I keep wanting.
That's like
I need
until
that.
while it's
not
red,
till the green light
you
is
can't
on.
go to mom
Yeah.
and dad's room.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you could
You know
set
what he
up
would
one
say?
of those like
He would lie to
defensive
me.
things on the bed
He
where he
would
comes around
lie
the
to
bed and just swings them out.
It was green.
It was
What
green,
say?
Dad.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it was green.
Dad. It
It turned back
swings
to
them
red. I
out.
don't know what to tell you.
Mom saw it. What?
How?
She's snoring.
Yeah, she's still sleeping. What are you talking about?
Anyway, all right. So what's exciting right now besides baby? Like, what's exciting about work, or what's exciting about Milwaukee, or like, what's exciting you about anything that's sort of on the horizon?
Let's see. I mean, the show's always exciting because I mean, you guys know, it's like it's fun to interview people. It's
Yeah.
fun to constantly be on the lookout for people to get on the show,
Tell stories
and tell
and-
stories
yeah.
and talk about what they're doing.
Well, and
And
like you get that time with them too. Like we get on a podcast. Like this is half the reason we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
we get time with. It's not Jimmy Fallon where you get 4
Yeah.
minutes and
Or maybe
you're just
it is
looking
for you.
sound
They
bites.
well,
drop
ours
in
is
and
not
drop
as
out,
it's not
yeah.
as luxurious as a podcast. It's like depending on kind
And
of
roomy
the
and
topic,
spacious. Yeah.
it's 12. Like we have our show's broken into 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, 8 minutes for an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so typically I'll keep someone, whenever I book a guest, it's 1 to 2 segments. So
about 20
time wise,
minutes?
it's a half hour, but like
okay.
actual talk time is 23
Yeah.
ish minutes if
Yeah.
I keep for both. And it goes.
I'm sure
Unless
it does.
unless it's not a very good interviewer who gives like very, very concise
Short,
answers.
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, I did not come up with enough questions for you.
yeah. I mean, I'm on number 23.
Yeah, you're like, Jane, do you have a question? Okay,
color was
thanks.
your favorite hair
anybody else?
color?
But then more times than not, it never feels like it's enough time.
Yeah.
But it's a gamble because like I don't have with the show every day, I don't have the bandwidth to like be pre-interviewing people to
Right.
like get the vibe of like they have an interesting story because a lot of times it's me reading WPR because they do great stories and I'm like I'm just going to reach out to the person directly and see
Yeah.
if they want to come on the show or
Yeah.
but it's not like it's usually an email and I don't hear them on the phone. I don't know how extroverted they are. I don't know how like talkative they are. And so it kind of is like the adrenaline of every day being like,
Is this going to
I
work?
hope this is going to be a
Is
good
this
interview.
gonna work?
And most times they are. Most times they really, really are. And so the show's fun. The show being statewide is really fun. We're going to have a new station in Racine and Kenosha, Eau Claire, and La Crosse.
Nice.
Within like the next month, which is super
Very
exciting.
nice. Okay.
So that's really good. But then I guess in like, I don't know, Milwaukee is, the not exciting part is literally as I was flipping through Twitter today, waiting for my dog to see if my dog was going to be okay at urgent care. He's fine.
Yeah.
They were having, shared revenue talks about
Sure.
stuff that affects Milwaukee. And so I think politically there's always a lot of stuff going on in
Right.
Wisconsin. And so
Right.
that is, for those of us who are gluttons for punishment to keep up with it, it is never boring.
Yeah.
Never ever. And then that kind of segues nicely too because we were talking this off air We can't say that.
We were just sitting over there in the other part of this room.
Yeah, we were talking. Yeah, we were talking about this, not on the podcast, about how you found your niche, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, I bet we say just niche.
I don't know. I don't fact check.
You know what? I feel too classy saying
Someone will
niche.
tell you. Someone will
100%.
respond to this.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
With
why
an
we always
email.
say we don't fact check. Because if somebody calls us on something, we're like, yeah, well, we don't fact check. So
Yeah.
good work.
I don't even check if
thanks-
I don't even answer the phone. Actually, if they
No
call.
one calls.
Yeah. No one calls.
But how you got to this spot right here with this radio show was fascinating. Coming from somebody who is very much not political because it's so polarizing. I want to live in the sunshine and daisies. But you said something that really hit home, which was if you don't get involved, people are just going to take the wheel and you drive, and now you're a passenger in this shit.
Yeah.
You didn't say it like you said it much more eloquently.
Yeah.
I paraphrased the hell out of that. But
Yeah, no, I mean, that was, I would say for me, and I actually just reflected on this in the speech that I gave at the Ozaukee County Appleton thing, which was like, for me, when Donald Trump got elected, like I think a lot of people, it was the wake-up call of like, oh, there was a lot of people asleep at the wheel. It's like, oh, we had 8 years of Obama, like our first black president. Like, this
Cruising.
is awesome. And like, I don't have to
Cruising.
pay attention to state legislatures and like, you know, like local politics at all.
Sure.
And like, everything's fine. And then, you know, and I was living at that point, living in San Francisco in like a very liberal tech bubble. But I've always lived in liberal bubbles. I'm from Madison. I moved to LA at 16. Then I went to Berkeley. Then I was in San Francisco. Then I lived in New York. So I've only lived in a certain.
and then you came to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, that's what's so funny because Milwaukee is, in Wisconsin standards, very blue.
Very
but this
much.
is like the most purple kind of working class area I've been in, where I get more access to people with a variety of viewpoints than I feel like I did in any of
Sure.
the other cities I lived in.
Right.
But for me, because I would say the thing with Donald Trump, it wasn't so much that I was so angry that he got elected. I was really mad at myself for having very strong opinions, but not really doing much.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I
Of
see,
like, I
yeah.
was like very self-absorbed with my job. I was working in tech, and like I watched the news, but I didn't volunteer. I didn't donate. I didn't know who my state representatives were. Like all of this stuff just was a transient, you know,
Sure.
30s, like just turned 30. And so I spent my 20s kind of just like doing what 20 somethings do, and certainly was not paying attention
Screwing
to
around,
politics.
drinking, yeah.
And beyond the big things of the day and talking about it at dinner parties or whatever.
Absolutely.
And so that for me was like, I never want to feel like that again. And so the transition of like, well, what do I want to do? I don't want to sell software for the rest of my life because this sucks. And I was like, do I want to go work at like a nonprofit? I didn't know what it was. And so then I had moved to New York. I started kind of trying to volunteer with Women's March because that was still a big thing. And then what I did for fun was started improv classes and sketch classes and stand-up. And because I had been an actress as a young person, and I didn't want to be an actress again, but I wanted to perform, which are two different things.
yes.
And
yes.
and so then it kind of dawned on me of like, oh, like this thing of short videos that they have a lot of information, but they're entertaining, and Daily Show, which I'd always been a fan of, but I was like the idea of how do you reach people who are busy? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily that they're apathetic, but they're busy. Like they're who I was in my 20s, where they're not living and breathing by the news.
No.
They're not politicos where they like just love learning about it and being in it, but they care. But it's kind of like in this information age, like how do you make it easier for them to digest stuff that is either boring or complicated or whatever? And it's like that kind of became the thing. Is like I want to figure out how to do that. And for me, it always seemed like humor was a very effective way of doing that. And
Well,
so
we
that
saw it
became-
proven.
Yeah.
With
I mean, it's
Daily
proven,
Show and
like one of the things that it's like as far as retaining information, there's been studies done as far as if you have a heightened emotion happening, you're more likely to retain information. And so what are the two like heightened emotions that's typically associated with? Anger
I was just
or
going to say,
laughing.
getting mad or laughing. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's why it's like,
Well, yeah,
like some of those like really good jokes that make a great point, but are also very funny. Like you can recite them because it's stuck
remember.
with you.
Yeah.
Or you can be like Steve and I and just somehow know a bunch of Dane Cook quotes
God,
from
Dane
from his
Cook.
comedic days.
How's his 18-year-old
Where do I
girlfriend?
go?
No.
No.
Fiance.
No, she's not 18. I thought she was
think
like in
she's
her
21
late
now, but I
30s.
think they've been dating. There's something very weird about how much
Wild.
younger she is than him. It's
Wild. And he's not quiet about it.
no,
Because
he's in love.
He's not quiet about anything.
No, that's also
Yeah.
true.
Does
I
he
mean, we've
still
seen
do
his
stand up? Does he still perform?
I don't
think
know.
so. I don't think so.
I don't know.
I randomly
He's
saw
been through
him.
some shit though.
Yeah, I randomly
That
saw
dude's been
him.
through some shit.
He has. Yeah, his brother was
Brother.
his manager and like he took a shitload of money from like millions from
Yeah.
him. Because he was like, oh yeah, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing crazy, amazing things. I have all this money, and then he'd check his bank account, and there's nothing there.
Nothing. Yeah.
So yeah, he got absolutely
Yeah.
screwed over on that. So he went through some stuff.
Do you consider yourself to be in politics, or do you consider yourself to be in information sharing?
Information sharing.
Yeah.
Like I was just having this conversation. Like I think because of my opinions, some people, it's interesting to see how people have reflected back what they think I am. Because I would say in like conservatives I talk to, because I try to get conservatives on the show. I try to have the show be certainly not one-sided. They refer to me as center left versus I have people who are very left who are like, well, she's so progressive. And so it's like people who project what they think my politics are or what I'm advocating for. And I always refer to it back as like I'm a collectivist. I think at the end of the day is like I very much believe in like what is best for most is best for all, and like
Sure.
like rising tides raises all boats,
Yeah.
even if it's not the best for me. But I don't like. I'm not here to carry water for the Democratic Party, right? Like
Sure.
I want to be in this space where it's like I can call out. And I can call out everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
And I can
you're in
call
a unique
hypocrisy
position.
out. I can be like this like that and not be like I'm carrying a message on behalf of a certain political angle.
Sure. Yeah.
Versus like that's like the main reason why I don't think I'd ever run for politics is like why would I give up a platform that I can say what I want to have to then go like toe the party line?
Yeah.
Well, that, and I mean,
With no choice, right?
yeah,
But
there's
to
no,
do that,
there's
yeah.
not really a lot
you
of
have
leeway
choice, but you
there.
may not get reelected because you
Right.
may have no
Exactly.
backing from the
Right.
party.
Exactly, which is seems very problematic. What is you said a collectivist?
Collectivist?
What is that?
It's not a political term. It's just.
Oh,
it's,
I was gonna say, like, holy shit.
no. It's like it's
Did I miss something?
It's it's the idea that we're a very individualist country versus a lot of other countries that like believe in the betterment of everyone and like we take care of each other and like versus like rugged
Kindness,
individualism.
empathy, yeah.
So it's more idea of that of like having like for me it's like having a social safety net and having like less wealth disparity is like a very good thing because it's
Wouldn't
also
be the
proven,
worst.
Yeah.
it's like it's proven that like the bigger the wealth disparity, like the more instability in society.
Yeah.
100%. I mean,
Adam always rubs it in my face how much money he makes and yells at me about
Totally.
it. Yeah.
totally.
I don't know.
When, I was gonna say, like, I'm even trying to think of a time I joked
He
about
gave me a
doing
silent
that.
what?
Yeah, I did give you.
What are you talking about? I mean, we're not supposed to talk about that in the pod.
Up here.
Why are you bringing that up now?
Where's the dump button?
It's my birthday. Where's the dump
God,
button?
I almost choked on that as we were joking about the what thing.
So when you describe what you do, it sounds it's right. It sounds authentically like it comes from that place where you said, I didn't know the shit or wasn't paying attention to the things I should maybe have, or that I realized then I wanted to have had paid attention to, and so now I'm going to help other people pay attention to it, maybe where I didn't.
I would say that's I mean, and I think that's why, I don't know, maybe that's why it kind of has caught on, is because I think I'm not an expert in anything. I'm not a political scientist. I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. Like, often as things are happening, like, I think that my leg up is like, I'm curious.
I was just going to say curious. I was
damn it,
just
that's where I was
say
gonna go
that.
too.
Yeah, so it's like I'm curious about it, but I have to go teach myself, and then most of the time it's once I've taught myself or like I've broken it down enough for me to understand, then the challenge is like, well, how could I break this down even more so someone else can understand? And if it's on TikTok, can understand in 60 seconds.
Right.
And so it's like, it comes from the angle of like, I'm not the expert, but like, I've just figured this out. So let me help you figure it out. And the same thing with the radio show. Like I'm the most uncomfortable on the radio show when it's just me supposed to be like pontificating, like what the traditional talk radio show guy does. Like, of just like, it's 3 hours of me just talking.
Who was that dude in Chicago?
There's been a lot of them.
I know.
mean, the original guy is Rush Limbaugh, right?
Yeah, but
it's Rush Limbaugh. But like locally, we have Jeff Wagner, we have Mark Belling, and it's like they sometimes have guests.
But that's all the stuff that turned me off.
But a lot of times it's just them talking in the microphone, giving their opinion.
Hot taken, like trying to get shit that can be clipped to be sexy.
The diversity in voice is such a appealing thing to me about why we would do this.
This is why we're doing it.
And you even said, like, if you have a guest that is not where you want them to be, and to have, because we've had that, right? We've had guests who were maybe a little nervous or didn't have as many things to say. And the fact that I can lean on Adam and Adam can lean on me, and it just makes, I think, for a better situation for everybody.
I think it's interesting of like the generation / demographic that's much more into podcasts than talk radio.
Yeah.
And most of the time, podcasts are a conversation. There's some. I mean, I guess like at the beginning of Mark Maron's podcast, he kind of just talks into the microphone for like the first 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah. But most people, I think, listen to that podcast to listen for the interview.
Yeah.
He's an excellent interviewer. But like, it's interesting. I think a lot of times the traditional talk radio stuff is like talking to the audience, trying to get them to engage. One guy talking to them. Versus podcasts, and radio can be interviews too, but like I'm much more comfortable interviewing people and having the conversation. I'm getting better at just talking, but like I don't have so much confidence in my opinion. Like I'm more interested in talking to someone who's actually an expert.
Same. And then I can just grab all that information by asking all the questions that to your point. Just figure it out. I just want to learn what you have in your brain and figure out what it is that you're an expert on. Yeah. You know, whatever the case may be. I was just about to. What? You have another one?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just about to dive in. So you, speaking of experience. I listened to the show a while back and a few times, but one of the things really stuck out. It was, should the Bible be in the library? I think still.
Oh, well, no, it was Utah. So
somebody
all of
banned
these
right?
book bannings are happening, right? There's some happening in Wisconsin. They're happening all over the country, and it's usually on the grounds of pornographic material.
Yeah,
and a parent in Utah, very conservative, Mormon Utah, made the complaint / argument that if this is what we're considering obscene and pornographic, have you read the Bible?
Yeah, because there's a ton of shit in there.
Because there is a lot in there. And whoever, I think it was anonymous. Well, once it got published in the newspaper, they made the parent anonymous. So I don't know if it was a dad or a mom. But they wrote out different Bible verses of like fathers sleeping with their daughters and like all this stuff. They're like, are you really gonna say that this is not pornographic, but this book about like a gay kid is?
Yeah.
And so we asked the question, like, should under this criteria, should the Bible be banned?
Right.
And so
and I found it fascinating specifically because you didn't come at it with an opinion right away. You came at it with curiosity and diving into and questions and more on it. And I was like, okay,
and you gave the rubric around
that's how you do it.
You should look at it.
Coming from somebody who is so desensitized to how biased I've found media and the news just being a garbage source. That's a lot of what I feel like is happening to me. Is I'm pulling myself away from political stuff because not only is it polarizing, but you can't figure anything out anymore. Yeah. Like you just can't get to the bottom of it because there's bullshit piled on bullshit piled on bullshit. And you're like, well, I mean, even if you gave me facts, you could skew the facts. You know, like you could take a pie chart and go, all right, well, here's the number of people that think the Bible should be in the library, but here's the other 98% of people who didn't know what the question was.
Yeah.
So what's the real? And you're like, okay, well, I don't. What's going on?
So, and I
I've
don't think
struggled.
most media. I think there's certain. What's tricky now is that in a lot of media, it's owned. Media, it's owned by like private equity, and they're like I was talking. I have
There's
a buddy
agendas
who
and stuff,
is an independent journalist, content creator in Appalachia, Ohio, and he was like on the ground. One of the guys like who snuck in because he knows the area of East Palestine when the train derailed.
Oh, right.
And I got invited him to come on my show to talk about like because he was literally like on the ground and reporting from there. And he made the point. He goes, the angle that most of the reporters who are there from the bigger outlets are going to take is talking about cancer, is talking about like the pollution and like some of the other stuff. He's like, but the questions we should be asking is why do these train derailments keep happening? And they're not going to ask those questions because the same private equity company that owns those media companies owns
that railroad.
Norfolk Southern.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like so often it's not that the media is like lying to you. It's the question of what angle are they taking on the story, and also the prioritization of what stories get covered. Like I think about this every day with the show. 3 hours is a lot of content. Like it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but ultimately, I read the news and like have my other different things that I scan every morning, and I go from 10 stories to 4, and for one reason or another, those 6 other stories that don't end up talking on the show. It's not that they're not important. It's like, is this the most important to my audience? Do I think people will respond and actually call and have an opinion on this? Do I think this is interesting just because I'm a nerd, or is this actually interesting?
Right.
You know, so it's like the trying to decide and weigh with and like in a newspaper, it's the space that you literally have in a newspaper on a news like nightly news program. You have a 30 minutes, and so like what gets bumped and what gets prioritized is part of the editorial process that can show bias, right? But it's not that they're lying to you,
Right.
Except if it's Fox News, they're lying to you.
Wow.
I thought you said you had no bias.
Yeah, no
I have plenty of bias.
No
I'm
I
opinions.
just try to
I'm
be
kidding.
open-minded, but
Yeah, I try to be open-minded too. No, actually, that's not true. I'm super. When it comes to news,
you're jaded.
I don't watch the news.
going right. Hey, you
I
go
gave
right.
up the
we
news
can
a
go
long
right,
time ago.
We can go right
I'm
back to
done with
flipping
the
the
news.
bird.
So do you guys where do you get information from?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't. That's where I'm. This is where I'm struggling. This is why I was so excited to talk to you tonight because I'm
this
like,
is super
because
interesting.
what I want to know is where do I go? Where should I be looking for this stuff? Because I've even tried like apps that'll give you. I forgot the name of the app, and they're not sponsoring anyway, so screw them. But it was. One side was one angle of a story. One side was the other angle of the story. Obviously, Republican, Democrat, and then the other one was just in the middle somewhere where it wasn't a company owned by the railroad or whatever. And I tried that for a little bit, and I was like, this is way too much effort for news articles I really don't give a shit about. Like, there's stuff I don't care about.
Yeah. So Adam gets mad at me
Okay.
because of this. He'll make a reference from a movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, never saw it. And it's like, how have you not seen this movie?
I do not do that. I do not do that anymore. Now I've accepted that you just don't watch movies. I get mad because I'm like, know my reference.
Not in a mean way, not in a judgmental way, but he's shocked because he is into the movie.
I'm immersed.
And I'm like, I don't know how that helps me to know these movies. I don't know.
Other than
give me anxiety when I watch them,
And
right?
having you guys have more inside jokes together.
Yeah.
camaraderie
Or that, right?
and inside jokes, yeah.
I've gotten that way about news. When people say, well, where do you get your news? I live. I just go outside and I experience what I'm going to experience that day.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that's how I feel. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to know what's happening in a train derailment, or like I have family that comes over and they're like, oh my God, did you see this thing that happened? I'm like, actually I didn't. And I'm a little bit like more calm than you are right now because I don't know about that.
It's a much healthier way to live.
Yeah. I don't know if I even want to know where to get the stuff because it's the same thing for me with movies. It's not just news. Movies are like, That's a waste of my 3 hours.
So what do you spend your time doing? And
Don't you dare talk about Avengers Endgame like that.
Or what do you consume? Like what content do you consume?
People.
So you don't
eat people?
music, podcasts?
No, my daughter wanted
social
me to read a
media,
book.
None of it?
Oh, I do to some degree because I feel like that's me experiencing people.
Okay.
I follow As Goes Wisconsin. Tell you that
I want to because I want to know what I do want to know is are my favorite bands coming out with new stuff? Are they coming to my city? Things like that. But otherwise, I don't feel like it helps me to know other stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm also fearful. I'm fearful that I'll become a conspiracy theorist, and because I read into shit so much. I watch the news and I'm like, all right, what angle are they taking? What are they not? I pay more attention to what I'm not hearing than the words that are coming out of their mouth. That's how jaded I am about the news.
Who hurt you?
The news.
The news hurt me.
The news telling me who died every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just brutal. Well, and also too, I think I like to live on the positive side of life, and you get that one goofy story a day on the news, and that's it. And everything else is
one
fire
smile
and
story.
brimstone.
Yeah,
and telling us we should be afraid of something. So
The nightly local news is hard. And not that because they're not good journalists, but the formula of. And again,
Headlines.
you're headlines, but you're also you got to fill time. You got to do the new show every night, and so it's
Totally.
And no offense, but they're probably the most desperate for getting people to stay.
Well, you also do
keep paying
visuals.
attention,
At least I can sit in my little box and talk about stuff. Versus oh no, we got to get it's not just the anchor
Somebody
sitting
has
at the
to do
desk.
stuff,
Someone's field report. Someone's got to be out there. We got to get an interview,
Yeah.
and we got to turn around in a day. And so
Yeah.
it's a grind. And also, I think so. It makes sense where it's let's cover another car crash.
Yep.
Let's
It's grabby.
and
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
too, what about, we talk about this a lot. We talk about innovation and disruption. What I think the news might be ready for disruption.
people are trying.
I know.
mean,
Well, there's a lot of money in news,
There's
though,
a
yet, so-
there's a lot of money in
and power.
news, and I think it's the amount of people who are trying. I think the what's hard is ultimately this. It's the same thing. It's we all hate political ads, right?
Yep.
We all hate political, and in Wisconsin, we are
I
next to
laugh at them.
Georgia and a couple other swing states. We get
We get a ton.
many
Yep.
political ads
get a
every
ton.
basically 6 months. It feels like.
Ugh.
And people always say that they hate them. And yet poll after poll after poll says that they work, especially negative
They
ones.
do.
Yeah.
And it's
They
the same
totally
thing
work.
with we all say that we want more positive news or we don't want trivial Kardashian bullshit. And yet numbers don't lie
getting
as far
the
as what the
numbers.
clicks are.
Right
Right,
on, right on.
And where the eyeballs are. And so it's when it's a business and the business is ad revenue and eyeballs, it's hard not to double down on the thing that's working.
The funniest.
I'm with you. I totally agree.
The funniest-
And that's why I feel comfortable in my little shell where I'm not doing any of that shit. Where I'm well, I'm not doing it. So eventually I think people are going to start going, well, nobody else is doing this. Maybe it's a generational thing.
I don't know.
Maybe baby boomers were told about the news, or that was what they had. So
That was their source
keeping it
of
in their clutches.
information. Yeah.
And with the rise in tech, the rise of innovation in tech, and how fast it's moving,
And
maybe
now
we'll start
everyone's a
getting
media
something.
outlet.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have Kristin Brey here.
Yeah.
She's doing it. People are doing it.
People are making
You
it.
just got to listen more.
The funniest thing to me about political ads is one TV station posted on Twitter or not, sorry, Instagram on the last day of political ads saying, "Thank goodness political ads will be over today." And I'm like, you mother, you are getting paid
Yeah, you got
to
paid
air
a
these things,
buttload
and
of
you're
money
going
to
to
do
try
this.
and play that card with the audience that you're happy they're over too. Bullshit.
Yeah. Say no
Bullshit.
next
and
time.
the anchors might actually. But the people who are making all that money are
Nope.
not. Like the guys who are actually.
That's a good
like,
point. The anchors probably are like, I didn't want to hear that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I've never been on a news set, a TV news set, to know how often. I would doubt that
Oh, do
they're
they even
listening.
hear 'em? Yeah.
Hearing or watching the commercials while they're at commercial break.
I don't
But on
think
the
you hear
radio,
it.
you certainly do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I know
absolutely.
our jingles
I'm sure you do.
and the same rotation of commercials that plays every day.
When Adam talks, I just close my ears.
Yeah,
like
he
a-
tunes
Yeah,
me out.
I tune
And then
out.
I'll tell him a whole story, and he'll go,
Huh?
no, you have to wait for there has to be a long pause, and he'll go, what?
Huh?
What?
I do that to my
What?
family, too.
Yeah, I know.
They'll talk for a long time, too. and
I
I'm-
know
and at
when
the-
he's tuning out,
and
too.
at the end, I'm like, huh?
Well, what'd you say?
They get
Sorry, I
so
was miles
pissed.
away.
They get so pissed. It's funny. Okay, cool.
Wait, hold on.
What?
What do we do?
What do you mean?
What?
Do you do?
What do we do, Kristen? Guide us.
Yeah, what should we do?
Like as far as like your news consumption?
Yeah.
Should we not worry about it? Should we just keep living
I
our
don't know
lives?
if you have
the
to
way
worry
we-
about it. I would say, I think it just comes back to like, if it doesn't serve you, then, but like, do you guys vote?
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you find out the information to like
Get to
be
know
an
the
informed
people.
voter?
Get to know the people. It's all to me, it's people. Always.
So you've met Ron Johnson?
No.
Did you meet Mandela?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have I think our mutual friend Jeff Sherman actually has this rule that he like only votes for people like mostly if he can,
Yeah.
that he's
when he
actually met.
meets with them. Yeah.
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 So is that kind of your rule?
But I mean, I'm not going to meet the president, but
No,
like I
but for the
try
most
to.
part,
yeah.
as far as like statewide, so like Congress. So then, have you met
Hang
Glenn
out.
Moore?
Yes.
Wow. All right, that's pretty impressive.
I have not met any of these people
Yeah.
because I'm still in a shell.
And he's not-
I ask others. I ask
Okay.
others their opinions, and I form my opinion based on that. And I tend to dig pretty deep.
But I'm.
Yeah, no. I mean,
push-
that's what I say. It's like
I push pretty hard.
If
on,
I think
like,
it's
why.
like the amount of civic engagement you want to be involved in.
Yeah.
What information do you need to be able to do that, and then taking it from there. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like reading the news. I think I like, just
Rock
people who
on,
are-
yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like,
No
I'm not
judgment,
here
no
to
judgment.
like
Need you to.
proselytize to
Yeah.
you guys as far as like, or shame you for not, because I think it actually is a healthier way to live.
But Kristen, you're going to be for a lot of people that person they trust, right? You're going to be that. You're going to be that people, and so it's important that you do what you do. Like I go to the people I know are doing certain things that maybe align with where I am, because then I'm going to trust what they have to say or how they think or how they interpret. To Adam's point, right? You need to do that. You're doing very important work.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so don't stop. Just
I don't
because,
plan on it.
Just because two
Okay, good.
two
I would
bozos
say I'll
aren't
take a
reading,
break when the
aren't
kid
reading
gets
the news.
here.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's funny because there's days that have like we were talking about before. Like the content machine is a grind.
Yeah,
like feeding the
absolutely.
machine is
It's
a lot.
insane.
But
Yeah.
I'll
Because
say
people
like
just want more. You drop a video or you drop an episode or you drop a day
And
in
they
behind
want to
the
look at
mic.
all the
Yeah,
other
they're like,
ones.
awesome,
and
awesome.
then
What's
it's
next?
like what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
And
totally.
but I do think as like it's pretty cool of like how like it's like how like I get to talk for a living. And like I get
Yeah.
to talk about the things
And
I want to
learn.
talk about,
And learn so
and
much.
learn stuff, and then like so it's like this is whatever combination of the videos and the talk and the radio show and everything. Like I'm pretty lucky that this is someone who's
It seems
been
like you
we'll
like
pay
it.
to do this.
Yeah, it seems like you like it.
I do like
It's
it.
cool.
And
It's cool as hell.
My wife was at a presentation on how do you be your authentic self. And one of the questions the speaker asked was, how many of you in the audience has a work wardrobe and a home wardrobe? And it's interesting to think about, what's required to find your place where you truly love and can be your authentic self in some way?
That's a good question. Do you have a
So-
work wardrobe and a home wardrobe?
I wear the same bummy shit everywhere I go.
I'm close. No, I'm not close at all. When I have to be in person for work, yeah, I dress up.
Okay.
I definitely collar it up. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's hoodie, t-shirt. Even
Hoodie,
for
yeah.
even working from home, you only see me shoulders up, people. If I put a polo on, you better believe there's sweatpants on underneath this.
Or nothing.
And then half the time I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to do something. And I'll stand up and they'll see
He's got red shorts on.
my
Yeah.
sweatpants on. But now it's just a running joke. But that's truly.
I think
That's what I do.
you're getting paid to think. You're getting paid to
And be curious.
be curious.
That's the dream.
Have an opinion, right? Have a take. I think that's awesome. Maybe some people would crumble under that, but
Well,
you're
I
killing
think,
it.
Like, I think I'm also in a sweet spot right now, but most of the people who know that it exists are still fans.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in pretty lucky. Like, I don't get like hate. I don't get that many hate comments
wait.
or
Yeah.
like
Just
people
wait.
calling the
Wait till we get home.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And when you
But it's like that's the thing. It's like once you get getting like bigger
don't
and
have
bigger
our
and
computers
bigger,
right
and
here.
then you have to deal with the people who like just like live to hate you.
well, and
You're
there's
like, oh, God.
it's political. It's polarizing in general. I mean, even listening to the few shows that I've listened to, there's a lot of curiosity, which is why I love it. I feel like there's an age of curiosity coming where people just want to learn about each other, and it's not all about judging others for not knowing shit. It's more about, that? Tell me more about it.
Yeah.
I want to know that too.
Tell me more. That's one of the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
questions.
Tell me more. But it's also, oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought. I got really excited about the age of curiosity thing.
Oh, so, something about politics.
But it being so polarizing, I hope that you get excited when you get your first hate comment. Because
I've gotten them. I just
because
don't get like.
Oh,
a
you don't
lot
get them a
of
lot.
them.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. But the
You
thing,
used to be blonde. What happened?
yeah.
No, someone
From
commented on my
Adaris.
forehead.
I mean, Adam D.
Someone said something about my big forehead the other day, and I was like, "You
Oh,
don't."
been there.
Yeah, like
I got a big
and
one.
the comments about how I look don't bother me at all. It's like and I would say in general, the best advice I've ever gotten is, why would you ever take criticism from someone that you would never take advice from?
Right.
And so it's like, why would I take
on.
criticism from some
Very-
anonymous asshole?
Live that way.
on
Live
there.
that
It's
way.
like, I wouldn't trust your opinion on what to do on my radio
See?
show.
Yeah,
or like how to
absolutely.
do any of this. So when people criticize me who I respect, then I'm like, shit. Then I beat myself up. But like the average person, like schmo, I'm like, I don't really give a shit. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever. That's good. And you kind of need that skin if you're going to be
Yeah.
in the public eye.
You got to.
Yeah.
Not us. We're good.
Eh,
If we get a hate comment, I'll crumble.
I don't.
Why? I try so hard.
Jim Roy 624, please love me.
Why don't you like me?
All right. So, last question. What about Milwaukee right now is putting a smile on your face?
That it's getting warmer, for sure.
That's been the
And,
number
like,
one answer the
It
past.
has
Yeah, but
been.
the-
And I am with you.
Yeah, like the fact that like festival season. I literally did this last night. I have one of those big tabletop calendars that has
Yeah.
like 2 months, and so
I've heard of 'em.
with Mike and like a wet like a dry erase
Oh,
marker
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
And so I did that last night because we in our shared calendar. I was like, I need like a visual of like what weekends we have open and like what we have going on this summer.
Yeah, that works.
And I did it last night, and like basically every single weekend of June and July are booked. But it was like
man.
River West, because we live in River West, and
Yeah.
so it was like River West is 24 and Taco Fest and all of the things that are
everything
coming
going on.
and like the weddings that we have and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's like truly when we talk about Super Nino or whatever, but it's like there's also nowhere else I really want to be than Wisconsin and Milwaukee in the summer,
That's cool.
because this is what we live for all year
It is.
long, right?
It
All
is
year.
truly. This is what we
For the
wait
other
for.
11 and a half months,
This is
we live
what we
for
wait
this,
for
30
from
days.
October until sometimes June. Is this hot weather? And then as soon as it opens up, you're right. Like there's not an open
Yeah.
weekend,
and everyone's
after
in
that.
such a good mood,
And
and it
everybody's
just feels
happy,
magical.
and you wanna be
and
outside.
yeah, so like that to me is the most exciting thing that's happening in Milwaukee right now. Is like it's like inching towards coming alive,
Yeah.
even without the Bucks, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
can't
What?
have them all.
Can't have it all.
But
All
we
right.
can have Giannis, and I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Thank you
For coming
Yeah,
on
Chris,
and
this
sharing.
is so much fun.
sharing. Yeah.
Are we
But-
gonna tell them how many times it took us to do
It was,
this?
This was at least
and
three,
it
right?
wasn't. It was.
It
It
was-
was both. It was all of us.
It was the
Yeah,
first one
Adam.
was the
It was either you or-
snowstorm.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
second one was I totally dropped the ball.
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
right, you were in
this is
Madison.
today?
Yeah.
Sorry. Then your house flooded.
Yep.
I
And now-
thought there was another one in there. I moved, but but
No, that
Was
was
it just
it.
the house?
It was the house.
Was
No,
there
the
another
house.
one?
The house was the most
House-
recent.
I thought the first one was the first one was the snowstorm.
Yeah, and then
They were like,
and
"Oh,
then
let's not
something. You're
drive."
like, oh, is it today that we're
Yes,
doing?
that was
And then I thought
then
I
the-
did one.
No, then
on
it was the
something.
flood.
The flood. Okay, so,
So it was
we're in-
3.
Yeah,
4.
so we finally did it.
Minute
On our fourth try.
Fourth try's the charm.
love it.
It's not as catchy, but it is what it is.
Well, it was super fun, and
Yeah, it was
thanks
so
for
fun.
opening up with us.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
awesome.
Helped us too.
yeah,
you guys
right.
want to come on the show?
This is weirdly
Yeah, for sure.
cathartic.
Anytime you want.
Hell yeah.
yeah? Come on the radio show?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Just don't ask us. Well, you could probably ask us.
I won't embarrass you.
Why
Like,
are
why
you
don't
so-
you listen to the news?
Why are you so?
I'll have a take
I'll
on
answer
that.
that.
Oh,
question.
hell yeah.
I'll answer that question. I just did.
yeah.
I just did on our own podcast. Cut that out.
All right, let's eat some more food.
All
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you.
And now Milwaukee's own dramatic effect, Newski.
It's a new beer.
No, Brett Newski.
No, Brett Newski. He's an artist.
He's
So
our
intro,
and
outro music
yeah.
is Newski.
Got it,
So we
okay.
do the now
Newski would be
introducing.
good. Be like our Newski of the month. Instead of a brewski.
Well, and what sucks too is he used to be Brett Newski, so it was a lot easier. But he on our
On
podcast,
our show, he said he's renaming
He's like,
the
you know,
band.
I was thinking about just going Newski, and
Yeah.
I was like,
In here, in this room.
I was like, it's kind of catchy. I
Yeah.
kinda like it, man.
Yeah.
So, and then a couple months later, he announced
Changed it all.
Newski. No Brett.
There
He
you go.
dropped the Brett, and he's all Newski now. So
we have one last thing
so
for you.
it was our
Okay.
fault.
You have to introduce yourself.
Okay.
So the way we open the podcast is with you introducing yourself. So
All right.
keeping that in mind, it's name, title, organization, and then you have to complete the phrase, "To me, Milwaukee is."
Blank.
And we always do this at the end because we've warmed you up after
Yeah.
the podcast.
Okay, that's
to,
smart.
like,
And
get
it
in
can be
there.
one word. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kristin Brey. I am the creator and host of As Goes Wisconsin, which is social media videos and a radio show. And to me, Milwaukee is my favorite chosen home.
Yeah, it's Bry.